There are so many things to discuss today. What's going on in Kenya? Kodwa, Helen Zille, the government of national unity, what COSATU is saying. And a lot of we've got so many things happening. And I often wonder, with so many things happening, what should we be focused on? What should we be looking at? What should we be doing? Because there are so many different things that are happening. Now, the first story is on Minister, or should I say former Minister, Zizi Kodwa. Now, Zizi Kodwa, as many of you would know, he was a member of parliament in the South African parliament, and he resigned because of scandals or because of a court hearing. Now, COSATU is deeply disappointed that the ANC has chosen to ignore its step-aside resolution with Zizi Kodwa's swearing in as a member of parliament. The Congress of South African Trade Union, COSATU, it's the biggest trade union in South Africa, and they're a partner of the ANC, is deeply disappointed that our ally, the African National Congress, has chosen to recklessly ignore its own step-aside resolution with the swearing in of Comrade Zizi Kodwa as a member of parliament. This is poorly thought through and ill-considered decision by the ANC that undermines its progressive step-aside resolution for public representatives. Now, what is the step-aside resolution, you might be asking yourself? This is a resolution that the ANC took to say that if a member of the ANC is found to have contravened or done something wrong, they should step aside up until the matter is concluded. And Zizi Kodwa did resign after he appeared in court for criminal charges against him. And 2 weeks later, he's being sworn in as a member of parliament. So COSATU feels that the ANC is not living up to its standard. They're not living up to what they said they would do. And I believe many South Africans feel the same way. I mean, at this point, is there anybody who's happy with the ANC, the party that has the majority in South Africa? And leave in the comment section if you are one of those people, because we also want to hear from those, because maybe there are people who are happy with the ANC and we just don't know it. So let us know what your thoughts are. But COSATU is saying this begs the question of how the ANC expects the 7th administration and parliament to win back the confidence of workers and a society aspirated by a decade of state capture and corruption when it scores such unnecessary goals. Now, this is a release by COSATU, and they're really saying that the ANC has missed the mark here and they're really not happy about what's going on. And I see Twitter is also ablaze. People are talking about this Zizi Kodwa matter. They're really not happy. What are your thoughts? Do you think that this is unacceptable? Do you think the ANC is scoring an own goal, as COSATU puts it? Here we see on Twitter, people are saying that Ace Magashule, he was the SG of the ANC. He was charged with corruption and faced and forced out of his position and told to step aside until he clears his name. Yet, Zizi Kodwa, who is also charged with fraud, hasn't cleared his name yet, and yet he's been sworn in as a member of parliament. So people are saying the ANC's got double standards there. Zizi Kodwa, I swear to be truthful and I won't steal, so help me God. And people are saying this is God looking at all of this thing that are happening. So there is a lot of action going on. People are asking what happened to the step-aside rule if Zizi Kodwa can be sworn in as a member of parliament. Figile can't be applying double standards. This just shows that the ANC is not serious about tackling corruption. COSATU is also disappointed. So a lot of people are questioning ANC. If you're saying you've got a rule known as step aside, why are you allowing somebody who should have stepped aside to now be sworn in as a member of parliament? Is it that he's coming back? Is it that there are certain people who step aside rule works for and some it doesn't? And some people are saying the step aside rule is tricky because until you're actually charged, we don't know whether you're guilty or not. So there's a lot of controversy and a lot of questions around it, but people are very unhappy with the ANC. And to be honest, I find that the ANC has a lot of double standards. Some rules work on some that are aligned with certain factions within the ANC, and some don't work on others. So the ANC has become deeply factional, and it has allowed leaders that are outside of the ANC, like White Monopoly Capital, like Stellenbosch Mafia, to control what happens to the ANC. So if they feel that you should be in power, they push for you to be in power regardless of the rules. And really, I find that the ANC has become a bought organization where money rules the order of the day. And that's why so many people are very unhappy about that. Now, the second thing that COSATU is also saying, now COSATU is the biggest union in South Africa. They represent all the workers in South Africa. And COSATU is saying they were not consulted about the government of national unity Unity that that train had long left. So despite COSATU being an ally of the African National Congress, campaigning for the party since 1994, the Federation says it was never consulted or asked to contribute to the formation of the Government of National Unity. Instead, it was briefed on the plan to form a Government of National Unity. And obviously, we all know why workers were not consulted. Because when you are bringing in the DA, which does not agree with minimum wage, which does not agree with the rights of workers, which COSATU represents, and you're trying to make a marriage between the DA and the ANC, of course, you won't call COSATU and ask them what their opinion is, because COSATU will tell you that no, workers do not want the DA. We saw in the Western Cape, there was a building that collapsed and no proper documentation was done of workers. People were being hired without knowing who they are, and they were even hiding the things that happened under a DA-led Western Cape. So the DA does not take workers seriously, and that's the reason why COSATU was not consulted. And when you've got the biggest ally of the ANC that campaigns and votes for the ANC not being consulted about the Government of National Unity, what is going on? Are you having an ANC just being led by a few individuals only, by white monopoly capital, by the DA? What is going on with the ANC? And that's what questions that people are asking, to say, ANC, how do we trust you with our vote when it comes to decision making? We are not told, we are not informed, we're not knowing what's going on. Now, there is trouble in Kenya. And I want us to discuss some of the trouble that's going on in Kenya. There is a lot of controversy going on in Kenya, a lot of issues going on in Kenya. But before we jump into Kenya, there's a story that's really trending all around the world about Julian Assange. Julian Assange. Now, Julian Assange is somebody who is or was the creator of WikiLeaks, and he informed everybody about many secrets of government, and he exposed many governments. Now, Julian Assange has been released, and he is going to plead guilty to espionage charges, and he is currently being flown out to a trial of sorts. And many journalists around the world are saying, free Julian Assange. He revealed many secrets of many billionaires. He showed a video where the US government killed people for nothing. They were literally flying over them, and they said, shoot. And the guys shot, and they killed civilians, and he revealed a lot of deep secrets about how government actually works. And I recorded a video on it on a channel known as Cyber Digest. Now, Cyber Digest is a channel that talks about everything to do with technology, and I want you to go and check out this channel. So it's called Cyber Digest Podcast, and here's the video on Julian Assange. Go and watch it and really learn about what WikiLeaks was, what is Julian Assange's story, and really what Cyber Digest is. It's a channel where we are teaching you about artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and all things to do with technology. So the first episode, welcome to Cyber Digest. The second episode, we covered WWDC, DC, which is an Apple event. We looked at Oculus versus Meta and Vision Pro. We looked at Neuralink. We looked at NVIDIA stocks, the stocks that have been raging. We looked at Kendrick Lamar and his Amazon. We looked at how to use ChatGPT. We want to make sure that you're educated about artificial intelligence, generating your own pictures using AI. And we have a podcast that we release every Tuesday. And this week, we have featured a entrepreneur, Spaza Eats, Tarifani Banks. And he talks about from data to billions. And I want you to watch this podcast because it's a really insightful podcast on how you should be making money utilizing the digital revolution. And I'm involved in this. So it's called Cyber Digest, where we educate people. We don't just want Africans to just talk about politics and that's it. We also want Africans to learn about the fourth industrial revolution and be educated because we believe it's important. And as all of you know, I am the commissioner of the fourth industrial revolution in South Africa. I've advised sitting presidents and governments of the fourth industrial revolution. So I want to make sure that you're learning as much as you possibly can. Now, going into Kenya, there are big issues in Kenya, very big issues. And to be honest, if I'm being honest, I'm very concerned about what's going on in Kenya. And I want to show you some of the clips that are coming out of Kenya. It's scary stuff. This should not be happening in Africa. And these are some of the clips that are coming out of Kenya. We're really seeing that scary things are happening in Kenya. And my opinion around this is really to say, should civilians be going through so much pain and trauma to have their voices heard? Should these things still be happening? And I'm really concerned about what's going on in Kenya. Now, if you don't yet know what is happening in Kenya, maybe let me bring you up to speed. Kenya right now is, a lot is happening. A lot is happening. And some of the scenes coming out are really scary. Kenya deploys military. 5 killed as strenuous tax protesters stormed the capital. And really, people are going against racist IMF policies. Kenya's really struggling right now. Kenya's president called demonstrations against new tax measures treason on Tuesday as the military was deployed around the country. So people are really coming up against the tax regime. People are being taxed 16% on bread. That's the new laws that they've signed in. And Kenyans are really unhappy, and they're going all around demonstrating that they're very unhappy. At least 5 people have died when protesters stormed the country's parliament in Nairobi. And rights groups said police used live ammunition, while local television stations showed pictures of the ransacked rooms. So there is a lot happening in Kenya. And really, here's my opinion, and this is what I'm saying. I'm saying when people are demonstrating in such large numbers and they're very unhappy, why is the government of Kenya not listening? Why is something not being done? Because we are tired of African governments having to allow things to get to a point where people get so frustrated that they storm and police are now fighting and now military is being deployed. Why do they not listen? And this is the same thing we're saying all around Africa, to say in Africa, it seems like governments only listen when there's violence. So Kenya deployed military units to support the police across the country and in response to security emergency caused by ongoing violent protests across the country. Kenyan president suggested that protesters could expect a heavy-handed response, calling demonstrations treason and saying debate on taxes have been hijacked by dangerous people. Earlier on Tuesday, at least 5 people have passed on. Organizations, including Kenya Human Rights Commission, said they had witnessed the police opening fire on protesters, while medics responded and reported treating gunshot wounds at the Human Rights Commission. So much is happening in Kenya. And to be honest, I'm very concerned. We cannot keep quiet when these sort of shocking things are happening in Kenya. I mean, look at this. It's really disappointing. And at nearby Nairobi City Hall, the governor's office was set on fire. Last week, 200 people were injured. So it's really, people are saying, let there be a tax shutdown. Groups are opposing new tax plans. They called a national shutdown. And Kenya's really struggling with significant debt burden that has been struggling to pay foreign currency loans as the value of its own currency declined. Now, behind this is the IMF. Behind this is wicked governments that expect Africa to pay heavy loans. And I've done a video on this, where these governments expect African countries to be paying exorbitant or loans. And what presidents end up doing is they listen to the IMF, they listen to the World Bank, and they go to their people and they tax people. I mean, how are you taxing citizens 16% on bread? Just so you can take their money, hard-earned money, and pay back loans? No. Stand against the loans and ensure that those loans get cancelled. Kenya, stop paying loans, because a lot of people are saying, but everybody's talking about Kenya, nobody's giving solutions. Well, let me give you the solutions. President of Kenya, tell the IMF that you're going to stop paying their loans and do not impose these heavy taxes on your people. Get your people to start using the money in government to build infrastructure projects, to build the economy of Kenya and ensure that jobs are being created. Young people are crying out, say they already don't have jobs. You can't be taxing them more to try and pay loans to these foreign governments that are not going to be assisting you in anything. We cannot allow money to leave Africa and continue paying loans of foreign countries. And a lot of people don't understand this. They are globalists that are telling Kenyan government, tax your people more, pay us more money. They're charging them exorbitant. Okay, what are they taking the taxes for? They take the taxes to try and survive as a country. And these countries then bully these presidents to say, tax your people more, charge them more, so that you make more money for us as the International Monetary Fund, as banks, and all these institutions, World Economic Forum. And the people of Kenya are saying, we're not going to work hard just to pay the IMF, which is racist and charging hectic interest rates to Kenyan people. They are refusing to do that. And I am in support of that. I'm saying refuse, refuse, refuse. They cannot kill all of you. So we stand with Kenya. We stand with the young people of Kenya, and we're saying, let this nonsense come to an end, because it's completely unacceptable. What is going on in Kenya should not be happening. Let it come to an end. So I want you right now to type in the comment section, I stand with Kenya. By outside forces, we the people must rule. And that's why I feel so strongly about this. And thank you to everybody who has been sharing. And Kenya, we are with you. Kenyans, we are standing with you. We are calling an end to this. This is completely unacceptable. And let us ensure that this stops. So horrific scenes, really, really, really horrific scenes coming out of Kenya. And I'm very shocked that people are being treated like this, that these sort of things are happening. This is completely unacceptable. And when people start to react like this, it's because they're not being listened to. They're not being listened to. So his government is proposing a raft of new taxes. After fierce reaction, it last week agreed to scrap plans for new taxes on bread and cooking oil. Imagine, cooking oil and bread are used by the poor. Why not tax the rich in Kenya? Why not do that? Why are you taxing cooking oil and bread, the poor? And not even a small tax, 16%. That's ridiculous. They want to also put in an eco-levy on many manufactured goods, including diapers, at a cost its treasury calculated a nearly 30 billion budget shortfall. So as of Tuesday, the government still intended to increase fuel prices, taxes on export charge changes. Protesters will still, this will hit poor people hardest while choking off economic growth. Why are you choking off economic growth? So there is a lot of things happening. A lot of people are calling it to be completely unacceptable. And the former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta said leaders should not ignore those that had elected them. It's apparent. And this is what we're all calling for, to say, Kenya, you cannot ignore the people that voted you in. You cannot allow this to happening. People are speaking on the fields. People are speaking on the ground. People are speaking everywhere to say, let these sort of regimes come to an end. Shocking scenes in Kenya. So we stand with Kenya. We're deeply concerned, and this needs to come to an end. Now, moving on in South Africa, we've got some more shocking internal news that are happening in South Africa. We have a government of national unity, which we've proven not to be a government of national unity. We've got a lot of people that are very unhappy, but we also have a government that has not announced who are ministers and who's running government. Now, yesterday we saw a former judge, John Hlophe, being sworn in as a member of parliament to represent the MK party. And he says, I'm not a judge. Hlophe says there's no conflict in him serving on JSC, praises Genius Zuma. And there's an interview where he speaks, and really MK party parliamentary leader John Hlophe is adamant that there's no conflict in him serving, and he comes in and he's being sworn in, and a lot of people are asking to say, but you were impeached. So many questions asked around him, and he comes on an interview and he explains and he says some very shocking things, and I want you to listen to what he says in this interview with SABC. So the first question the journalists ask him is, are you angry as a person? And he says, yes, because of how I was treated by the ANC and the DA government. And he goes on. Now, a lot of people have asked and said, is it worth going into politics with anger? Is it the right approach? Should we be doing revenge politics in South Africa? I want to know from you, what are your thoughts? He says he is angry. He's being honest about it. What are your thoughts? Are you angry with him? Are you not angry? Do you believe that politicians getting into politics with anger is not the right approach? What are your thoughts regarding this?
Treated by the ANC government. This coalition that you see today started when Mkhwebane was impeached from the office. The ANC needed 2/3 majority, and they went to the Democratic Alliance to get it. So this government of national unity that we are seeing, it started then. Advocate Mkhwebane was the first victim. I was the second victim, because the ANC used the Democratic Alliance, right, and other parties, which basically got rid of me. And then after me, it was Judge Ngola Mutata, right? There again, there is consistency, government of national unity. So this is not something new.
Dr. Hlophe, I'm sure you have a rich history of the legal process here. And processes in all three cases, including Advocate Mkhwebane, including the former judge, impeached judge, and yourself. Processes were followed. Yes. And for a processing having followed, they arrived at a particular conclusion.
That's right.
Are you now trying to rewrite those processes when you were even given an opportunity to actually reflect on your position in terms of those allegations that you faced at the time?
Right. Well, in my case specifically, what had happened was this. We challenged the processes and how the Judicial Service Commission operated. We challenged even the composition of the Judicial Service Commission. We even brought an appeal to challenge the decision by President Cyril Ramaphosa to suspend me. That matter is still pending in Gauteng. We're not even allocated a date for that appeal. In one matter, because they withdrew funding. As a result of withdrawing funding, I could not prosecute the appeal. This is why one of the grounds that we use, we're saying the impeachment process by Parliament was premature because everything was pending before the courts, including the Constitutional Court.
But you've been to various courts.
Yes.
And one way or the other, you won cases, but at a different level, the authorities won that. Do you not feel that it's time to let it go?
Certainly, far from it. It raises fundamental issues of constitutional law. When I joined the judiciary 29 years ago, that's when I was appointed as a judge, I believed that judges were permanent. But a lot of people now, after witnessing what happened to me, you wake up, you're a judge. When you go to bed, you are no longer a judge. And I think the nation must know this, when I was dismissed, I was just kicked out of office like a dog.
How so?
Well, I will explain to you. For instance, the acting deputy judge president moved into my office. I still had my furniture in the office and my books and everything else. She walked into my office without even referring to me, right? I was still the rightful user of that office. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world.
Was it before the impeachment of the National
It was
Assembly?
before the impeachment when I was still on suspension, right? It's unheard of, and she got away with that, right?
So now you are in.
So here you have it. He's explaining a lot of things. And for me, I mean, I'm very honest in my assessment. One of the things that I've always had an issue with is anger politics. And somebody called me and said, President, I love the show, but it seems like you're very one-sided in your opinion. And I never want to be one-sided. I want to share what my thoughts, and that's why I encourage you, comment in the comment section, let me know, am I wrong, am I right, what are your thoughts? We saw Julius Malema get booted out of the ANC, and he started a political party based on anger. And when he started EFF, it was based on, I'm angry at the ANC, right? And the EFF then did well for some time, and now we're sort of seeing the EFF losing relevance because it's no longer growing in terms of the votes. And also people have jumped. People have now chosen MK. And I'm not talking about, these are not aspersions. MK is now the third largest political party in the country. EFF is now the fourth. So that has happened, right? I'm concerned when a leader takes a leadership role because of anger. And let me maybe explain why. Because anger can sometimes be clouding of proper judgment. And I respectfully say this to the MK party leader, John Hlophe, to say, Dr. John Hlophe, to say, let the anger subside and let the leadership be about the people. Because when a leader is angry and they are leading from a place of anger, what we see them leading from that place of anger, but once their anger is quenched or quelled, then we see that leader no longer having a motivation to run in leadership. Leadership must always stem from the people. And this is one of the reasons why I respect the former president, Jacob Zuma, because when he called a meeting, which I attended, and many of you have seen that video. It's the most watched video on our channel. It's reached over 100,000 people. And I explain what Jacob Zuma said to me in that meeting. And if you haven't watched it, go to my channel and you'll see on my YouTube channel, it's there. But one thing he said, the reason why I started MK is because I realized that the ANC has been hijacked. It's no longer the same ANC. And he said, I'm not leaving the ANC. I'm fixing the ANC by starting MK. And for me, the intention is we are fixing what the ANC was supposed to do. And that, for me, is the right intention to start a political party and to participate in the political process. And when he's asked about, is he angry? He was very clear to say, no, this is not about I'm angry at somebody for doing something or whatever the case is. He was about, this is about fixing the issues of the ANC. And that's why you see that they did well in the election, because many people felt this is a purpose we can run behind. So leaders must be very careful to say, when you lead in any organization, in any business, in anything you do, if it's about anger, you'll only be able to lead up until your anger is quenched. And anger can't last forever. We all know this. You can't be angry for somebody for life. So it has to be more about leading from the people. And that answer, I found it not to be aligned with the answer I wanted to hear. But I also understand the human part of him to say, as a human being, he is angry. And we do get angry. But I want to know from you, what are your thoughts about that? Should a leader lead from anger? Does anger work? Is anger sustainable? Or should we now start writing a new sort of leadership process to say we don't lead from anger, we lead more from what the people have said? And I want to know your opinions, and I want to know what your thoughts are regarding that. So there is a lot of action and a lot of things happening on Twitter. Breaking, the enemy is very unhappy to see Dr. John Hlophe leading MK in Parliament. Cyril Ramaphosa has taken away the title of me being called a judge, but I am still Dr. John Hlophe. I have a doctorate in law, and no one can take that away from me. President Zuma, thank you for giving Dr. John Hlophe the platform. A lot of people are saying President Cyril Ramaphosa can never take away my doctorate. I remain. May I repeat, I'm not going to Parliament to fight back people. Our leader in Parliament, Dr. John Hlophe, has given the marching orders of black unity. Our fight is the land thieves. That's the primary contradiction. Now, if you watch the full episode, he does say that. So I'm just also giving you that so that those that are commenting do understand that I have watched it. And yeah, here's some of the rest of the comments that are coming out of Twitter. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Are you happy about the MK party list that has been chosen? Do you have concerns? What are your thoughts? Remember, we always discuss things here to ensure that you educate yourself in terms of politics, but you also understand where the country is going. And really, my way of understanding politics and doing politics is that we must start to strengthen the collective of the people. That decisions in politics need to be made by the people. Now, I've seen how the ANC leads. I've advised the sitting president. I've seen how the MK is leading, how the EFF leads. And myself, as a young person, a 30-year-old, I started a political party known as Arise South Africa because I had issues in the way that they lead. Now, this is what I believe Africa should be moving towards. We've seen leadership styles of heroes. Julius Malema, Cyril Ramaphosa, Thabo Mbeki, where individuals in South Africa sort of led political parties. And when I started Arise South Africa, our purpose was to say, we don't want political parties that are led by individuals anymore. We want political parties that are led by collectives. So let the collective make decisions. Let decisions be made by the collective. And that's what we're fighting for as Arise South Africa, to say, if you've got an NEC, let the NEC make decisions. Let that be the engine. And we might not yet be there, as we did receive close to 20,000 votes, which you think are very well. But as we prepare for 2026, we want to have a political party that will no longer be led by an individual, that will be led by a collective. And even in the DA, you see Helen Zille is calling all the shots. So you often wonder to say, is it that one leader's leading and the rest are puppets? And that for me is not the right way to lead. I believe the right way to lead is to get a collective of people that can robustly debate and argue about matters, and they vote on every single decision that they make as a collective. Because there's a Bible verse in Proverbs that says there is wisdom to be found in a collective of people. And I believe that as Africa, we need to move in that direction. We need to slowly move away from the politics of an individual and start to move away from the politics of a collective. And that's what they have in America, Democrats, Republicans. You will find that Trump, the moment Trump leaves the party, the rules of the party and the way things are done will not change because the collective still leads, and the collective will then run behind a person. So I think we need to move in that direction where the collective leads. And I've heard the MK party president speak about this. and I think that's the way that it should go. Now, moving into South Africa, what's going on with the GNU? What is happening with the Government of National Unity? While the ANC and DA cabinet talks continue, leaked letters reveal parties are at odds. So we have Helen Zille, we have Fikile Mbalula, and I would have expected Fikile Mbalula to be a bit more open in conversation about these matters that are going on, but I see he's very quiet. Talks between the ANC and the DA over the Government of National Unity cabinet continued on Monday after reaching a stalemate over the weekend. Now, we know already that in Gauteng, they have not released any information on who the members of the Executive Council, which is the MECs, are going to be. Because of that, we already know that in Limpopo, the DA is saying that they're not happy about who is being leading there because it doesn't follow what they believe should happen within the Government of National Unity. We know the Patriotic Alliance is also fighting to say, guys, we don't want to listen to Zille. We're not going to listen to Zille. And Gayton Mackenzie released a very sketchy video there where he basically attacks Helen Zille and speaks against what she's doing in the GNU. But one thing is certain, our country is no longer the same. Politics has now entered a place of coalitions. And I personally think coalitions are a good thing. But here's my thing. Coalitions must not be run by individuals. They must be run by the leadership of the party. And when I find that leaders in the ANC are not able to articulate and understand the GNU properly, and even leaders in the DA, but only Helen Zille, and it's like a few people, then I'm concerned to say, but who's really running this GNU? And the ANC wants to move away from the DA's initial proposal to allocate cabinet positions strictly based on proportionality of seats each party has within the GNU, suggesting that such an approach would limit accountability to National Assembly. So the DA is saying that they deserve about 30% of the seats in parliament, or rather in, the ministers or cabinet. And they're saying that it should be based on that. But the ANC wants to move away from it. We're seeing lots of squabbles happening, and letters have been leaked. The African National Congress letter Secretary General Office writes to the DA, and the DA also responds. And the DA is demanding that they have the position of deputy president or a minister in the presidency with significant policy and budget oversight roles and a deputy minister of finance. So either deputy president or minister in the presidency or deputy minister, representative in all cabinet clusters, an appointment of deputy ministers, so an influence over director generals, and also the establishment of a technical clearing house and the review of all tenders issued. Now, for me, the one thing I've always had an issue with in government is this: influence over selection of director generals in their departments, ensuring appointments align with DA's governance policy principles. I think we need to get the state to have leaders or director generals or people working in government who will not change based on which government has come in. We need to protect the professionalize the government institution. Because if you've got a director general changing every time there's an issue, you're not going to have departments that are effective. Because when a new person comes in, they come in with their own way of thinking. They do half a job. The next person comes in, they change them. So we must protect, and this is what government must ensure that they do, to say we must protect officials in government. Because if you're going to continue having a department head who's continually changing every 3 years, every 5 years, mismatch this and the other, we're really going to have governments that are not able to actually implement what is supposed to be implemented because of these things. Zille demands ministries held by Mantashe and Motsoaledi. So this is a very interesting time. The DA is asking for 12 ministerial positions, including that of Gwede Mantashe and Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. Are they willing to negotiate? SA faces a unique opportunity. Now, I said and I promised to people that I am going to talk about what you should be doing financially. Because a lot of people said, Mpho, your background, you made your money off cryptocurrency and digital blockchain technologies. And a lot of people are saying to me, Mpho, we want to know about finances. So in the last video that I did a video where I was explaining about the South African Rand. And in that video, I said to people, if you comment in there and you say, Mpho, we want the Best Finance Show to come back. Now, the Best Finance Show was a show that I did where I taught people on how they can be their financial best. And when I started my political journey, I had put it on a pause to focus on the political journey. And now people are saying to me that, no, we want the Best Finance Show back. We want to learn about what we should be doing financially. I'll tell you what I'm doing financially at the moment. Because it's so uncertain, if you have any finances in rands, for now, until there is stability in this GNU, because there's lots of instability, my suggestion to you would be move your money into dollar or into any other currency that is currently stable. Because I see the rand not moving or doing well in the next couple of days because of this GNU. Number one, I think it's dishonest. Number two, I think it's not going to last. Number three, I think that the people that are controlling the GNU are not the politicians, but white monopoly capital. And these people are not honest in the way they do things. And South Africans are tired and they can see through it. So I really think that South Africa is going to go through a little bit of a unstable time. So if you do have finances in rand, I would say maybe take 20% of it and put it in another currency just to be safe. And you can always convert it back to the rand when things are going to be moving properly. Because when business sees that there is no movement that is happening in terms of government putting positions, they begin to be afraid and they stop investing, they stop spending, and that affects the economy. So these are all things that we're going to be discussing and teaching in the Best Finance Show. And it is back. The reason why it's back is because I asked the last time to say, guys, if you want me to bring it back in this video that I did, is the rand racist? I asked in the comment section, and if you look at the comment section, you will see that many people commented and said, we want it back. And I want to show you all the comments that came up. Here are all the comments. Ooh, I had to really scroll there to be able to see them. Someone said, bring back the Best Finance Show, bring back the Best Finance Show, bring back the Best Finance Show. A lot of people are saying, please bring back the Best Finance Show. People are liking it, bring back the Best Finance Show. So all these comments for people saying, bring back the Best Finance Show, I have seen them, I have heard them. The Best Finance Show is back, and we're going to drop an episode today on the Best Finance Show. So make sure that you go and subscribe. So I said that if we've got over a certain number of comments saying bring back the Best Finance Show, I'm going to bring it back, and we do have that number. So the Best Finance Show is back, and this is the channel it's going to be on. It's at Best Finance Show. We've currently got 41 subscribers. Please make sure that you go and subscribe. Today we are dropping, so subscribe, and when you subscribe, also turn on notifications, because we are going to be pumping on that Best Finance Show, and I'm going to be guiding you and helping you on what the best things to do financially so that you do help yourself financially. That becomes quite important. So the Best Finance Show is back, and see you all tonight on it. Now, that is not the only things that are going on in South Africa. There's a lot more things that are going on in South Africa, and are going to be making sure that we bring you updates on what is going on, the changes, and every single thing that is happening in South Africa. Now, before we end off, there is an episode that I did for This Reason. As all of you know, the Fix Africa podcast has changed. It's now called For This Reason. And I did an episode this week that dropped 2 days ago with a black-owned investment firm with high returns. They've got 100 million that they've raised from 2,500 investors. They're called SV Capital. Yes, they are registered, and it's really an insightful episode. It's really an interesting episode. He's a young man and a young woman who used to work in corporate. They left corporate. They started their own black investment firm. He talks a lot about money, and it's a really great episode. And I would encourage you, if you want to learn, please make sure that you go and watch this, and also subscribe to For This Reason. We drop every single Monday at 9 a.m. and it's really the best podcast in the country in terms of quality. We've done very well. We saw a lot of views and a lot of people like it. So For This Reason, make sure that you go and watch it. And lastly, as we close for the day, I want you to ensure that you leave me a comment and subscribe to the channel, because there are so many of you that are not yet subscribed to this channel. Leave me a comment and subscribe. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your directions. I want to know what you want me to discuss in the next episode, because I always look at your comment section to see and to prepare, and I want to engage and debate, and I love it when people talk about our country, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to educate people on politics so that come 2026, you know who to vote for, you know how to vote, and you understand how government works, and you ensure that you are ready to be a leader in our country. For myself, thank you so much for joining me, and see you in an episode soon.